What is up? What is up? Welcome back to another NBA rundown, not NFL. That's later. NBA rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm joined today by JSU. And JSU, I always enjoy doing these smaller slates with you because we can branch off into all types of discussions. And I have a feeling that might happen today because I'll tell you what, I don't love today's NBA card. And I think it's kind of hard for you to give out great actionable DFS information this early, the way the season's been going this year. We talked for a quick bit, right before we jumped on, but how's everything been going for you and how have you been navigating all this late injury news?
Yeah, things been going pretty good. The injury news has been wild. Really not even injury. We shouldn't even call it injury news because it's not. Most of it is illness news.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it is protocol news. We might be changing it up. We might need to start splitting them off here where some guys are injured, but most of it is just the protocols and guys being sick or close contact or whatever it may be. So it's been tough. I mean, it just changes the slate when you see 5 guys from one team who are all have big roles, role players or starters all get ruled out for whatever reason. And you're scrambling because you're looking at the, 4 guys at the end of the bench that haven't been playing, i.e. the Brooklyn Nets of a couple slates ago, right? Where they only had 8 guys.
But they still got the win.
They still got the win. Again, though, they still got the win, but it's regular season. You still have Kevin Durant.
Right.
Kevin Durant and company. That's how good Kevin Durant is he can get you a win. He's so friggin' good. He almost won them a series pretty much on his own. He can get a team a win in the regular season. So it didn't shock me they won that game against Toronto. But I will say it's different, right? It's different when you're, the starting point guard for a team gets ruled out and you're like, okay, Derrick Rose is the 6th man. He's coming in to back up the point guard or, whoever, a known guy. And then you go from that, which is a normal thing that can happen from time to time, to these 5 guys that are in the rotation are out. And it's well, that just changes the hell out of everything that team's been doing. And now new guys are going to be in the rotation because they just have no choice.
Right.
Can't play 5 guys. And it's just making for really crazy outcomes. And it's interesting, very different though.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't hate it from a betting perspective. I'll tell you what, from a content creation perspective, it's kind of rough, right? So I had the Nets and the Sixers for one of the articles I wrote today. And, it's 5 a.m. I don't know if Durant or Embiid's going to play. It's so how do I properly handicap this? Fortunately, for everybody watching that's just betting, you don't have to bet until the game's pretty close to tip off. And I'm pretty close, to advising that with a lot of things. Let's do a quick review, though, because I thought last night was some interesting basketball. I had the Lakers. I put that on the sheet for our Run Pure Bets members, and I thought that was going to be a slam dunk. Did you watch that game? And I mean, it was just wild to me that they went life and death with the Mavericks team that was missing Luka Doncic. Did you get to watch that game, and what were some of your takeaways?
Which game were you referring to?
The Lakers Mavericks
from last night?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did get to see some of that game. That game was good. I saw. I watched it live, the Reeves pretty much at the end of the game too. I saw that. That was pretty cool. He hit the tough 3, and then them in the locker room celebrating after. I thought it was pretty cool for a guy like him, But again, those are another teams where you got Dallas, who's Luka's obviously missing. Then you've got the Lakers, who they had all 3 of their stars, but they were missing some other guys from the team. So It was interesting, just a next man up thing. But I don't know. The game, to me, I didn't have a lot of DFS riding on it. I don't know. Were you heavy on that game? Did you bet that game?
I spent up for so I bet the Lakers, barely made it. Like I said, I thought they were going to win by double digits. My handicap was I thought that Anthony Davis would do a great job of shutting down Porzingis and that Dallas would have problem scoring. But I wasn't really too impressed with the Lakers perimeter defense. and they can turn it on when need be, as it showed in the overtime. But I thought that should have been really a cakewalk for them. And then on DFS, I spent up for LeBron, and not the best nights for him. I don't even think he got 40 for me. I think he came in at 37, which was a little disappointing.
Yeah, it's really hard to spend up for those guys when all three of them are playing. It's
Right.
got to be, for me, it's got to be like a shorter slate, or one of them's got to be out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it, really.
It was kind of a bad handicap. I was kind of just thinking that, LeBron loves attention, right?
I don't know if it was a bad handicap. I think it was I think it was a stretch of a DFS play, though.
Well, and my DFS handicap was essentially LeBron's going to want all the attention after Steph got it the night before, right? And so I just thought that, that was kind of like the angle I was going for. I thought that maybe
you're a LeBron hater too, right? Aren't you a LeBron hater? I'm a LeBron hater, so I don't care. I don't care.
It depends on how you want to put it. Like, as a person, as a root for, yes, but I'll give him all the credit he deserves. And like I said last night, I got no problem backing him with my money. Sometimes I think he can be disingenuous, though, like in the way that he conducts himself.
When you're called king from like age 18, that's just. So I honestly, in ways, give him a pass for some of that stuff, because shit, if someone was calling me king at 18 and just all the way through, I would, probably be a little different as well. So I don't know. That's how I look at it. I'm not like the big LeBron fan, though. Like, some people think he's just the greatest ever, period, hands down. I don't think that. I'll still take MJ. I think MJ is just, dude's a warrior. LeBron, I've watched quit at times. Let's just be honest. He's quit at times. But again, you can't deny his greatness. The dude is, he's a freak of an athlete. He's still playing at his age, and how many miles he has on those, it's incredible what he's been able to do.
How many more years do you think he's got? I didn't think he'd be good at this point.
If he keeps himself in this type of shape, he could play for 5 more years.
I know this is going to be like Brady all over again, right?
Yeah.
Well, we keep writing him off. And he's got to be too old now, right?
I know it's different sports, but you wonder, so those are let's be honest, the 2000 era, right? The 2000, because they both kind of started to come up in the 2000s. LeBron, obviously, I think it was 2003, got drafted somewhere around there. But you think there's a little greatest generational athlete right there. They're both playing forever. I don't know. Are they kind of they're two athletes that to me love the game enough where they could just keep going if they want to put their body in shape. But I wonder if there is, because those have to be two of the best athletes in this generation, right? In this,
that's where it's LeBron hater, but I'll definitely say he's the best of his generation, hands down.
Oh, no doubt.
And then you want to start comparing generations, it just gets kind of funny. I never saw Wilt, but my guess is if we pulled a 70-year-old guy in here who watched, he can make a pretty good argument why Wilt was better than both of them. But we'll see.
Again, though, it's Wilt was before his time. You know what I mean? He was just so dominant. Nowadays we see 7-footers grow on trees, and they're just athletic and they can shoot and do a lot of other things. And, LeBron to me was the first, LeBron was one of those first guys that was just he was just such a freak athletically. He played like a point guard, though, and he could switch and guard almost 1 through 5. And he got bigger, obviously stronger as he went throughout his pro career. But that, he was one of the first guys that changed the game in that way, where now it's kind of gone that route of smaller ball, guys can play 1 through 4, even some 1 through 5, but 1 through 4. And LeBron had a lot to do with it. You know what I mean? In my opinion, anyways, he was just a different player, and he just changed the game. I don't know if people, I'm assuming they give him the credit for it. I would assume, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. It was like I just thought they were going to cruise to victory, and for them to go life and death with the Mavericks without Luka,
I just
you
don't.
know,
Why are they pushing it in regular season games? The Lakers.
I don't really know what other options they have, right? I mean, and
But
what do you
but
make
but
of
like
it?
what's the determinate? What's their like fire? Like LeBron's been there how many times?
Right.
Anthony Davis. Like what is it? You know what I mean? What's driving them to we got to just crush these teams, right?
Well,
Let
and they
alone
are.
just win.
They don't have a lot, and that's why, like, as bad as they look last night, like last night, that didn't look like a team that even wins a first round playoff series to me, right? Like, you can't even beat the
Yeah.
Mavericks without Luka, and we've been down on that supporting cast, and it's just not just you and I, right? It's the rest of the guests as well, like Hoop, AP, right? Travis, like none of us really like that supporting cast, but they do have that potential to flip the switch. So, let's see how they look when the whole season shakes out in April and May when these
They
playoffs
still got
start.
time, right, Spread? They still got time to gel.
Hey, do you know what's another weird thing? You know, Russell Westbrook's like shooting like 55% from the corner this season. Remember how we said he can't space the floor? Yep. And he hit that big three from the corner last night. I mean, if he's able to do that, I think that kind of takes away a lot of our criticisms of adding Westbrook, because if he's
Russell Westbrook, though, we've seen it. He's a slow starter in seasons.
Yeah.
We've seen it multiple seasons where it takes him a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's jump into tonight. The Detroit Pistons are plus 10.5, heading to Indiana to take on the Pacers. Pacers minus 10.5, 209.5. You know, if we want to do a quick review of last night as well, Hoop and I both like the Pacers. I didn't give it out as official play, but I made a small little bet on it, right? They're up 92-91 in the fourth. Still, I'm like, same thing. I'm like, dude, this team's missing Middleton and Giannis, and you're going life and death with them. Then they gave up a 21-0 run in the fourth quarter. I mean, it was just an absolutely terrible performance. Miles Turner came out a week ago saying that he's not happy with his role. Sabonis came out yesterday saying he wants to be traded. This team's going to have to get blown up soon. Got to be pretty disappointing for the fans in Indiana, but probably the right thing to do. And those are some attractive trade assets that they have. I don't know. Going into tonight's game, because of everything I just mentioned with the uncertainty around the Pacers, as bad as the Pistons are, and talk about like a one-man team, because it looks like just Cade Cunningham's carrying that team with Jeremy Grant out. I like the Pistons plus the points here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to trust the Pacers and which Pacers team you're going to get. They had a slow start to the year. I thought they were coming on a little bit recently. And then, they have those games, though, where it's just like, what's going on with Milwaukee? I've said it all year with this team where they struggle to close out games. They've struggled all year. Even when they get leads, they'll lose them. So that's just something the Pacers do. And now you get a Detroit team that is clearly one of the worst teams in the league, but you get a monster spread here. What is it, 11 right now spread?
I have 10.5 on Bookmaker, but I mean, okay. I'm going to just wait.
Either way,
I bet
10,
you by
11.
tip, I'll get 11 by tip for sure. There's no way the money's coming in on Detroit, right?
I don't think so. No way. I would wait, honestly. But I do agree with you that I think the lean here is the Pistons and the points. I'll take them and just hope that the Pacers continue to struggle to close out games and we somehow back into a closer game than people are expecting, and Detroit gets it done for us in the end. I mean, I don't think it's a crazy take either, the way we've watched Indiana kind of not be able to hold leads.
Yeah, and what do you think about this team overall? I mean, do you think it gets blown up here pretty soon?
This is a good take, actually, Pocket, in the chat, saying first half Pacers is the only bet.
That's great with the way that they stumble.
Yeah.
If you even do the first half, second half, right, and take the take the Pistons in the second half, that might be
you could do that. I don't blame you for saying that. It does make a lot of sense, and I could get on board with the first half Pacers bet for sure. Yeah. From a DFS side, it's a 4-game slate, so we can look at this game. I think Cade's a little too expensive.
Yeah, 8-6. That's crazy.
Well, he's had some 50 bangers in there. He's had
some
50-point games. So I don't think it's like wild, but LeVert 7.5, Brogdon's at 8.4, Sabonis at 10.5. It just seems like the price bumps are a little much. The only guy who he got a little price bump on Miles Turner, but I just hate Turner's game. But at 6.7, he's priced a little better. I'm not a fan of it. It's probably going to be a game that I'm going to stay away from anyways. If I had to just throw one game out on the slate, I think it would be this. It would be between this one and the late night hammer game. I'm probably going to lean this game though. I think the price tags are a little much on the Indiana side. On the Detroit side, outside of Cade, like Isaiah Stewart's getting minutes. He's 5.7 though. Sadiq Bey is still 4.9. He's cheap. But again, a guy who just doesn't do enough for me. Like he just doesn't do anything outside of shoot. Like, yeah, he'll take double-digit shots. He'll take some threes. But, man, the rebounding numbers, the stock numbers aren't always there. His assist numbers are always low. Like, he just doesn't do enough in other categories where you're going to need him to hit a bunch of shots, in my opinion. But if he does at 4.9, he's going to make value. So it's a 4-game slate. It just kind of depends on the value we get on the slate. I think we're going to have better value, though, with this Brooklyn team again. So, we don't have to go there. So I'm probably going to be lighter on this game.
Well, let's go straight to that Brooklyn game right now. The Philadelphia 76ers are -1 in Brooklyn. Brooklyn Nets are now +1. That's because, hey, it was nice of them, even though I don't trust them. But right now, it says Embiid's in, Curry's in. I had eyes on pretty much all the games last night. I thought it was a fun night of NBA. Great night to have a multiple TV setup. And I did watch, so I didn't see the whole game, but I did see most of the fourth quarter of the 76ers and the Heat. Boy, I was really surprised it took that much for the Sixers to get a win over that weakened Heat team. And I did see Embiid kind of roll his ankle there, stepping on Kyle Lowry towards the end of the game. I actually didn't think that he was going to play tonight. I'm surprised that he's playing, but there might be a sense of urgency for a Philadelphia 76ers team. We're 30% away into the season, and they are definitely not playing their best here. Looks like Kevin Durant would play because with everyone on the injury report, I think that if he sat, they would be under the requisite 8 players.
Yeah, they need him to play. And he's talked about it before. We're like, if my team needs me to play 48 minutes, I'll play 48 minutes. He's fine. Like, he can handle it for a couple games. Trust me, once all those guys come back, you're going to get a healthy dose of Kevin Durant resting. Kevin Durant, I got an ankle injury, I'm sitting out. You're just going to get a healthy dose of that. So he's fine. It's a long season. He'll get his rest when he needs it, and he'll be ready. But I think that, honestly, 1 point, this is it's a real toss-up on this game because I hate the Sixers. Anyone who's watched this show knows I'm not a fan of the Sixers. I think the team, the way it's constructed, they need to get rid of Ben Simmons and get what they can for him and just be done with that situation. Make your team better. Get 1 or 2 pieces that can help out Joel Embiid and the rest of this cast that they have, and just try and get a little better because right now this team is not good enough to beat some of the best teams in the East. They're not there. They need more help. So that's something they got to figure out. For right now, though, I do think Joel Embiid is an extremely tough matchup for a Brooklyn team with so many guys out. So that's where I'm like, okay, I hate this Sixers team. Do I want to bet this real? Because it's really like a straight up pick 'em pretty much. Who do you think is going to win? I still kind of want to say the Nets, though. I think the Nets.
Yeah, give me the Nets.
Can do it here and win this game. I just don't trust Philly. I just can't do it. This should be a game Philly wins, though. This should be a game.
Well, last night was too. I'm sorry, I misspoke. The 76ers didn't win. The Heat won that game. And you know what? I hated. Embiid needs a better coach, and he needs a higher basketball IQ. Did you see him taking threes there to end the game? It's like, what are you doing? You're 7'2" or whatever you are. Their tallest player is 6'10", Dwayne Dedman, and you're out there working the perimeter like you're Kevin Durant. No, get down low and go to work. and just things like that are really frustrating for this team. You give me that versus Kevin Durant. I mean, he's going after Skip Bayless after wins.
It's the stuff that if you guys watch like Inside the NBA and Shaq and Kenny, it's the stuff that drives them nuts.
Yeah.
And it's like I remember they were talking about it recently where they were like, I think it was Kenny who was like, or not Kenny, Charles. He was like, I don't hate bigs who just shoot threes. I hate bigs who think they're good 3-point shooters who, spend their time out on the perimeter when they could dominate down low. And it's like, that's the way the game's gone, where it's like you need to be able to stretch the floor. So all these bigs are working on their 3-point shot, but you can't just settle and shoot them all the time. I agree. There's a time and place where, okay, if they're not respecting you, take them. You know what I mean? Take some shots. But at the end of the game, when your team needs a bucket, I mean, get in that post, catch the ball, turn around and face them up, and either go at them and get a layup, dunk, or a foul, or
he has a highest foul rate
and shoot that mid-range jumper that Embiid is almost perfected from that, not the corner, but pretty much that like in between the corner and the free throw line, and just dominate. That's his shot right there. Post up, turn around, block, in that little bunny shot that nobody can stop because he takes that one hard dribble like he's going to move with his right hand, and then he puts the ball out. He's trying to get a foul every time, and he shoots that shot. It's unguardable, and he can get it anytime he wants as long as there's no double team. So that's where it just, you watch Embiid and you're like, why aren't you just doing that every time? And then once they stop you from doing that, then do something else, right? But until they stop that, keep going. And that's where I think a lot of like old school basketball people that watch basketball now, I'm sure it drives them all insane when they see a 7'1" dude that's massive and he's got a 6'10" or an undersized guy on him, and he can just bully him down low, and he's out there shooting.
The fact that Dedmon didn't foul out last night, I thought showed the flaw in the 76ers game plan,
which is funny because Embiid notoriously throughout his career has always got bigs in foul trouble.
Yeah, he was just playing outside too much last night.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was. So, but this is probably the game that we're going to load up on again. But I'm going to need you to help me through it because you can't just say, hey, throw a bunch of Brooklyn guys in the lineup and cash, because everybody kind of knows it. I need an expert to kind of help me out. Who should we be targeting here if we're building a lineup using these Brooklyn Nets?
Yeah, so that's where, these Nets guys are priced up a little bit from what they were last time out, but they're still, if they're going to get this type of run, 35 plus minutes for some of these guys, I mean, 4K, 4.7 is still really cheap. Now, the question is, are the same guys going to get the massive run? I think personally that Cam Thomas was playing not good. He wasn't hitting his
jumper. Was the only one that didn't get there, right?
Yeah, he was like the only guy, and he was very popular. And he ended up only playing 22 minutes while all the other guys, pretty much Blake Griffin saw 30, and he fouled out towards the end. Patty Mills obviously saw like 40. Kevin Durant saw massive minutes. And then it was Edwards, who was on the bench, who played 44 minutes off the bench. He was playing really well. And then Duke Jr., who started, he played really well. So he stuck in the game at the end. He had a little foul trouble at a certain point of the game, but he still played 38 minutes even with that and had a good game. And the question is like, are they just going to roll with whoever has the hot hand, whoever they feel like is the best? I think that's what they did. I think they rolled with the guys that were like the hot hands, the guy, because I don't think they knew who was really even going to. I think they knew like Patty was going to be in there. I think they knew Kevin Durant, but outside of them two, I think they were like, let's just see who is affecting the game positively the most for us and roll with it. And that's what they did. So tonight, My expectation is Claxton has to play a little bit more with them facing, Embiid. But he's skinny. He's got a slim frame. So we could see foul trouble with him, but I expect him to at least play more if he's not in foul trouble. That might come to the detriment of Blake Griffin. It might come to the detriment of, someone like Duke or Edwards, who both played a ton of minutes. So it's just a question of, I think you want to play 3 Brooklyn guys, maybe even 4. The spread is telling you right now, Vegas thinks this game is close. And if this game stays close, 3 or 4 of these Brooklyn guys are going to be on the winner. That's just the case right now, right? And we think Brooklyn wins. How spread at these price tags outside of Kevin Durant? And maybe you could say Patty Mills at 6'6", but I still think you could play Patty. So outside of Kevin Durant, who's obviously a good play if you have the salary, how in a close game are 2 or 3 other Nets not getting there? Right? Like at 4-7, 4-2, 4K, 3-9, 5K. How are 2 or 3 of these guys? They have to, and unless you see blowout. If you think Philly blows them out, then okay, fine. But even then, the Nets only have 8 or 9 bodies. They still have to play Duke and Edwards and so that's the Cam Thomas. So that's the way I'm looking at it. If you see blowout, maybe you don't play 12K Kevin Durant, 6'6" Patty Mills, 5K Blake Griffin, but you play everyone else, because I guarantee you if the game's a blowout, those 3 guys I just said, they're the ones sitting down on the bench while the other young guys are playing. So that's how I would look at it. You see it as a close game. Vegas sees it as a close game. You play 1 or 2 of those veterans, and you play 2 of the young guys, and you hope you catch the right young guys finishing out the game.
Now, I always hear you guys talking about running it back, but I'm on DK right now. I don't really like any of the prices here for any of these 76ers to run it back. I mean, Tobias Harris at 8'7". I mean, if you make a good case, I'll listen to you, but that's not something that jumped out to me. Maxi's up to 6'9". Curry off a shoulder injury, 6'2". Who would you run it back with here, or can I get away with not playing any 76ers?
I think you could get away with not playing anyone. I do think if Joel Embiid plays, this is a very good spot for him to dominate. I don't hate Tobias Harris because the Nets don't play defense, and Tobias Harris, he's a very good offensive player who can get it done at times, and he can rebound and stuff. It is a little pricey for him, but again, if this was an 8-game slate, I'd say no way I can pay that price tag for Tobias Harris. With it being a 4-game slate, I think Tobias Harris is in play just because it's a shorter slate. You might land in that range with that much, with all these Brooklyn values. So, it all depends on your roster construction, but I do think you can run it back, but I would run it back with one of the studs. So Embiid 1, Tobias 2, or I just wouldn't run it back is the point, unless we get news that like Embiid and Seth Curry are out or something like that. If we got crazy news like that, which who knows, we could get that news. So who knows? But if we did, that would change my thoughts. Then I think you could go some different routes here.
All right. Remember, all this great information brought to you by Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. Head on over to runpuresports.com. Use the promo code BETS25 off to become a member. The next game, JSU, New York Knicks, -5, heading to Houston to take on the Rockets. JSU, I took the Knicks on Tuesday night. They were, plus 5.5 by the time I jumped in, and I felt that was a good number. And, of course, that was a big game. I figured, you'll get the best effort. Steph was out there. Of course, that was a lot of fun. For him to break the record, in a great stadium such as Madison Square Garden. But I'll tell you what, man, I was disappointed in this Knicks team. And it reminded me of when Thibodeau went to Minnesota that first year, right? And then, the first year with Jimmy Butler on the team, they made the playoffs. And that was the first time Minnesota made the playoffs in a long time. It's like, cool, Thibodeau's here, right? The second year, it all went to the mess, right? That was when Jimmy Butler's leading third stringers against Towns, sleeping with his girlfriend, I guess. That's what they were telling me in his chat, right? The whole team's blowing up under Thibodeau, and I'm just wondering, it's like, I could get a great car, a Corvette or something, but if I drive with my pedal to the metal, I'm going to have to take that car sooner to the shop than if I drive nice and slow everyone. I'm wondering if Tibbs is kind of wearing this team out. What are you seeing with this New York Knicks team, and how are you approaching this game?
Well, let's be one for that game with Steph Curry. It was pretty awesome to see him get the record. Pretty cool with his dad. That moment with his dad was really cool, actually. Man, they look so much alike too. Just looking at Dell and him, like, God, they look, just like. But very cool moment. I thought it was pretty cool. They showed like all the guys who assisted him and like how many like Draymond assists he had for threes, and I thought that was kind of cool too. Just seeing some of the guys. Iguodala was up there. I think KD was up there. KD wrote on Twitter something like "Send me the Rollie" or something. All those guys were getting like Rolexes. I thought that was pretty cool. But I think one of the things that struck me with the game when I was watching it was Steph was awful in that game. Like, he was bad, and it might have just been it could have just been the whole, like, record and the emotions and the stop-start and all that stuff. Maybe it got to him a little bit.
I think it did.
He wasn't into the game. Like, normally, even when you go to, like, Madison Square Garden, like, even that crowd, every time he took a three, they were like, like, they even, I felt like, wanted him to just have a game. They wanted those threes going in, not just the record threes, but like when he shot, you know what I mean? It's just to see Steph Curry shoot and to see him play. It's pretty cool. And, I think even away fans or non-Golden State fans kind of love watching him play and, are happy when he does well, even if it's to the detriment of their team that they're rooting for. So it was just kind of funny but the Knicks offense, when Julius Randle, this is the fact with the Knicks, their offense, when Julius Randle is not hitting outside jumpers, is terrible.
Yeah.
It's just awful. They have nothing else. It is Julius Randle or bust, because Derrick Rose is still good enough to score. He's still good enough to get you 20. But that dude can't give you a whole game of just dominating offensively. He doesn't have it. He's too old at this point in his career.
And isn't that wild, going back to the LeBron deal?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because Derrick Rose is 32? And we're saying he's too old, and LeBron's 37. Yeah. So anyway, I just had to jump in there because it just reminds me how awesome
that's how crazy what LeBron is doing.
It
is. And if you put it in that perspective, and look at all the other guys from that draft, right, Spread? I mean, you could just take it. Let's take it a step further. Where are all the guys in his draft?
Carmelo's backing him up.
Yeah,
Carmelo's backing him up. Dwayne Wade's out. Darko went out of the league in like 3-4 years,
I mean, no, half the people don't even remember Darko. That's how much of a distant thought he was. Like, it's just wild. But again, the Knicks' struggles are, in my opinion, due to they have very hit or miss outside shooting. I think before the year, they thought Kemba, Fournier, when they gave them those contracts, were going to really boost their outside shooting. Obviously came to a big detriment defensively, which is, I think, why we saw Kemba get pushed to the bench. Evan Fournier's minutes have been up and down. And I think that's the reason why. Quickly's getting more minutes, but he's not ready yet to take on the massive role, right? The 35-minute scoring, 15 to 20 points every night. I don't think he's there yet. I think he could get there eventually, though. So to me, it's like Julius Randle, it's him or bust. And when he busts, that offense is awful. It was just like Alec Burks chucking up threes. And I like Alec Burks. I think he's a really good player, but a three-point shooter is not what I want him to be doing. I don't want him standing in the corner waiting for the corner three. I don't want that from Alec. I want Alec Burks getting to the rim and fouled and shooting mid-range shots and getting other people involved, not standing in the corner. And that's what I think I saw too much of when Derrick Rose was in. Alec Burks was standing in the corner. Julius Randle was popping out at the top of the key, and they were just letting him shoot those shots. And then he caught fire in the third a little and gave him that little run. But I still think a lot of those shots were bad shots that he was taking, as opposed to trying to be aggressive and say, you know what? I know you're giving me this top of the key three, but I'm still going to take it to you. I'm going to try and get fouled. I'm going to try and go to the free throw line and, use my big shoulders, my athleticism to finish at the rim. That's what we didn't see enough of, in my opinion. And I think Julius Randle needs to be told, dude, get down in the paint. Let us feed you some post-ups and stop fading away when we feed you the post-ups. Stop with the damn, fadeaway jumpers and get in the paint and score some easy buckets and get fouled. That's what we want you to do. Then the shots will always be there. The outside shots for those guys will always be there. Be aggressive in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm old, it's a long time ago, but I remember, one of my first basketball coaches always told me it's easier to shoot when you're moving towards the rim, right? Yeah. They go on a lot more when you're moving towards the win. But JSU, my contention here is that the Knicks overperformed their roster last year. And that now, they're kind of reverting to who they really are. And that could be a lottery team with the way that the East has improved. And a player they really miss in my mind is Reggie Bullock. And I would say if you miss Reggie Bullock that bad, you weren't that good to begin with, because losing Reggie Bullock shouldn't have the effect on you that it has. But I think they really miss his defense. And now they're a team without an identity, because, last year there were these defensive stalwarts. Now this year their defense isn't that good, but they didn't really improve the offense that much. And then they're going against the Houston Rockets team that I was loving to back here when they put Eric Gordon in the starting lineup, and they kind of gave up on everything. Now, I don't see him on the report tonight. Are we going to get some Eric Gordon tonight? Because that would help.
Yeah, I think he's in, spread. I think he's going to be in. Christian Wood, it looks like, got upgraded to questionable now. They were thinking he was definitely going to be out for at least 2 games. Now he's questionable on the injury report. So I think that's something we got to wait on. Because
if those two play, I like Houston. What do you think?
The upgrade to Christian Woods got me pausing here a little bit, because I was gonna like the Knicks if Christian Wood was out. The upgrade makes me think, though, that he's got a good chance to play.
I think so too.
If he plays,
yeah, I
think this game is closer, and I would probably lean Houston too.
Okay,
so I want that news, though. Yeah. I want that news.
Yeah, sure. I think you're right, though. If they do not play, I'm all over it, because I think Eric Gordon means so much to this team, because you basically got a bunch of young ballers out there with a bunch of talent.
Did you watch that game with Cleveland?
Yeah, but that's where they missed Eric Gordon. I mean, they just got behind, and then they didn't really know what to do. And I mean, Cleveland's really good. I mean, I don't want to take away from them.
Spread. I've been saying this almost since the season started on the shows. Cleveland is a really good defensive team.
That's why I didn't really downgrade them that much. They were kind of a young team that's lost. And you know what they look like to me? It's just like the AAU, where the players don't really care about winning or losing, right? They play 3 or 4 games in a day, and they're just out there and they're just showing off their moves and trying to impress scouts. That's what the Rockets look like to me without Gordon in there, kind of directing them, feeding the guys when they need to, right? They really fall apart without his leadership there. So this is definitely wait for the news on that one. And we'll say wait for the news a lot. And that's why I would encourage everybody watching to become a member of runpuresports.com, because after that news comes out, JSU will be updating his cores, giving out all the proper information. But of course, to watch the final countdown and get those cores, you need to become a member of runpuresports.com. Use the promo code GETBETS. So when we're looking at the DFS side here now, if those two play, Houston's not really a good option, right? But if they're out, I probably want to have some Rockets in here.
Well, I think on a 4-game slate, you're going to have to look at some of these Houston guys, whether or not they play or not, is my opinion. Sengun played really well last night. So, he'll probably be popular if Wood's out. KJ Martin got some run. But, God, this is where, I don't know, Spread. This is where when I watch the game and I understand, I don't understand how basketball coaches, because they're obviously smart, right? These basketball coaches are obviously knowledgeable about basketball, hence why they're professional NBA coaches. But I'm sorry, if I ever coached the Houston Rockets and I was trying to figure out lineups and who works and what. If I had the rosters lineup last night, I would just never have David Nwaba, KJ Martin, Sengun on the floor together with no outside shooting outside of like DJ Augustine, who's old and pretty much over the hill. Like I would just never run that lineup out, and they ran that lineup out, and I'm just sitting there going, yeah, the team's just sagging off of KJ and Sengun and Nawaba and giving them wide open threes. Why wouldn't they? And then they're just rebounding the ball because they're a massive team in the Cavs that play like literally, like, as Josh said, 3 7-footers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do. So like that's what they were doing, that second unit, and they were destroying the second unit, turning them over constantly. And it's like, yeah, they have no ball handlers. They have 3 guys who can't shoot from the outside or not well-known three-point shooters, and they have no threat from the outside, so teams can just sag in the paint. I don't know. I just would never do that to a team. That's where they got down like instantly. That was a 6-point game that went from a 6-point game to a 20-point game as fast as I literally just snapped my fingers just now. Like that's how quick it was that it happened. And that was why I just watched that game going, what does this coach even think? He must just, this is him trying to lose, right? Like this is him like just pretty much throwing it in saying, we have nothing right now. No Gordon, no Wood, no Kevin Porter Jr., no John Wall. You know, we're going to lose anyway. Just throw the towel and just move on to the next week. It was rough to watch, honestly.
Yeah, I felt that, because I do like Silas. Well, actually, Silas left the game, didn't he? And so then it was John Lucas on the sideline. Silas
Not
left
in the first half. What, right?
I don't know. I'm getting them all mixed up. I'm watching so much basketball the last 2 nights. But John Lucas was on the sideline for him. Silas had to go to the locker room with dehydration. So
I don't know
maybe
when that
had
was.
something to do with it too. So
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And so, all right. Well, who would be your favorite player from the Rockets if you were to choose one?
I'd probably say Sengun if those guys miss.
Mm-hmm.
If like Eric Gordon is in, I think Eric Gordon's a really good player, like you said. Just because they need guards, perimeter guys out there. Gordon was definitely missed last night. If Christian Wood plays, though, I know he's expensive, but I wouldn't hate taking a shot on him if he was fully healthy. Again, though, we got to see if he's in or not. So I'm just going to take a wait-and-see approach on this Houston team.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Let's move on to the last game. They took the line off the board for me, but it was 8.5 earlier today. And it's the Washington Wizards plus 8.5 heading to Phoenix to take on the Suns. Looks like DeAndre Ayton will be back. We had all speculated that Chris Paul might sit after those heavy minutes, but I haven't seen any news about him today. If Paul and Ayton both play, it seems hard to me that the Suns won't cover the spread against a team, the Wizards, that I liked the first couple weeks, right? And then it kind of all fell apart, right? Spencer Dinwiddie, is complaining about lack of touches. Bradley Beal's dropped his scoring average about 10 points this season. When NBA's best scorer to he's averaging like 23 points a game this season. The defense was good. It's kind of fallen off. Getting kind of disappointed in the Wizards. And then I watched the Suns play the Blazers, and they got the overtime victory, 111-107. And I was saying and watching, so I watched the night before when they got blown out by the Clippers without DeAndre Ayton. Then Ayton comes back, and they look like such a better team. And I'm going, why did they extend DeAndre Ayton? Because they look so much better with him in the lineup. If both of them are playing, I think Phoenix wins this by double digits. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I wasn't a Wizards guy coming in. They looked good to start the season, like you said, and then all of a sudden it just seemed like a slow dip down, right, Spread, where they're just slowly falling. The defensive numbers, everything, like you said, all for sure true there. So now they get the Phoenix Suns at home. 9, though, like a 9-point spread on this game. I don't know. I'm not as confident in you just with Phoenix having played without Booker for a little while. Chris
Mhm.
Paul, I don't think he sits. But I will just say he's been playing a good chunk of minutes. I mean, last 41 minutes last night or 2 nights ago, whenever that was, against
Yeah.
Portland. 2 nights ago, that game went to OT, I'm pretty sure. But still, that's just a lot for him. And could Washington somehow keep it close at home? I think they have a shot to, honestly, but I'm not as confident in this game for sure. I want to say I have real confidence in taking the Wizards with the points, but I don't have as much confidence. I guess I would lean that side, but I don't feel real confident about it.
All right, and I can understand that as well. I'll tell you what, I live in Sacramento. Our team's terrible, and they lost by double digits to the Kings last night. So I'm just like, what's going to happen when you play the Suns like a real team here? So that's part of it. Now I pulled it up, because I want to see where you're landing. I think this is a tough game to navigate for DFS. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it's weird that it seems like all these the random stars from these teams that Detroit and Indiana, all these guys got price bumps, and it's like, why? Why is Chris Paul 9.7? Why is Cade Cunningham 8.6? Why is Sabonis now 10.5? Like, keep them where they are. Keep Paul at 8.2. Keep Paul or 8.5. Keep Sabonis at 9.4 and Cade Cunningham at 7.8, 7.6, and make them enticing for people to want to gravitate to a little bit more. I feel like these price tags are just pulling people away from a lot of these guys. So I'm really interested to see what ownership is. Does everyone just spend up for KD or Embiid? It's going to be interesting because some of these guys are going to end up coming really low owned. You wonder if it'll be Chris Paul. I mean, DeAndre Ayton is 8.8. 8.8 for DeAndre Ayton. I mean, I can't pay 8.8 for DeAndre. I know he's played well, but I can't pay that price tag. Chris Paul 9.7. That's really tough to pull the trigger on. So I don't know how much I love from this game. I think if I'm playing this game, I'm playing some cheap guys. Campaign.
That was going to be the one I asked you.
Cheaper.
I thought he was the best deal of the whole thing.
Yeah.
If you said you had to put one person from this game in your lineup, I think Campaign's going to give you a lot of bang for your buck at 5,200.
Yeah, I think Campaign would be the guy that I would lean to as well. I wish I could play Trez. They just don't give him the type of run. But this is the slate, 4-game slate. If you wanted to take a shot on Trez, not a good matchup, but 5-3, he could get it done in 25 minutes.
He's averaging 21 minutes per game. That doesn't make any sense to me either.
No, the only thing I can think of is they paid Gafford. He's younger. They know what they have in Trez. They want Gafford to get more run. That's all I can think of, spread. Because I don't think he's better. I don't think he's better than Trez. I don't know. I really don't get it. So, yeah, I think I'd be taking the cheaper route with this game. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Kyle Kuzma, but he's 6'1". He's still got some upside at that price tag. I just can't pay the Chris Paul tag, the DeAndre Ayton tag,
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I don't think this is actually the best NBA slate tonight, and with everything going on, it's been definitely a challenge to do the NBA handicapping this month with the players in and out of the lineup, COVID and injuries, right? I mean, we have a lot of good players that are simply injured. Embiid, right? Ribs, KD, that ankle. Luka, I'm not sure what he's out with. I think it's an ankle, right? Paul George has missed time with an elbow, right? So it's not just COVID. We got a lot of big name players that are worn down, and it's only December. I've mentioned before, maybe it's time to shorten the NBA season here and make these games a little more important because it's really hard for the best players to really get through the full 82 games, and not to do it one more time. But hey, that's where you got to give credit to LeBron, right? I mean, the guy plays almost every single game for how many years? And I only really remember him missing significant time, during 2 seasons. So it's just crazy what he's been able to do. So there we go.
People saying Gafford is better defensively. Yeah, he is a little better defensively than Montrez, but you have a team in Washington who's struggling to score the basketball. They're bottom 10 in scoring in the league. And Trez just, I don't know. It just, to me, Trez brings way more energy. I don't think he's as bad a defender as he, as people say too, on top of it. So I don't know. I feel like they need his offense as well. Like, this team has struggled at times to score the basketball. Like, it's just Bradley Beal, but his numbers have gone down. I think it's due to him trying to get others involved, personally. But I don't know. I just feel like Trez would be a guy like Trez, in my opinion, needs more minutes because he needs to get into the game. He needs to like, when you keep pulling a guy like him off who plays with a ton of emotion and he plays off the feel of the game, you're not letting him get into a flow. And I think that's the biggest thing with Trez. I'm not trying to like disagree with anyone. I'm just trying to explain, like, for Trez to be Trez, I think he needs more run. Unless it's just like that 2-man game that he had with the Clippers. It was so effective because that was literally their second unit. It was him and Lou Will, and they'd play 25 minutes, but it was literally all those two guys. They did everything, and it was just they would dominate. You don't see that because there's no Lou Will for him to pair with in that second unit. So it's different now.
Yeah, I think Gafford's a better rim protector. I think Trez can be a little more versatile. So I think the problem is the Wizards desperately need that rim protection. So that's where they end up going with Gafford. So, all right. Well, this is a little rundown. We managed to get through the 4 games there pretty easily. I think it's a tough night, though. So I can't wait to hear what you're going to decide to be your best bet for the day, JSU.
Yeah, we've been crushing it on this show for the best bets. Gave out another winner last week. Hopefully people took advantage of it. This is definitely a tough slate for a best bet on the 4-game slate, but I'm gonna do my best here. I really like. I think if I have to give one, I like the Nets to win. I'm just not a fan of the Sixers. I'm gonna go the Nets here. I've never been a fan all year. I think the Nets can get it done even with their 8-man rotation. I just don't believe in the Sixers and what they got. So I'm going to lean with the Nets, take them. And if I had to give one more bet, I'm not going to give the Detroit game, even though if I had to lean aside, it'd be Detroit. I'm not going to go the Sun side. I think I'm going to go right now, as it's constructed, I'm going to lean with the Knicks as long as Christian Wood is out. If Christian Wood is in, then I probably won't bet it. But if Christian Wood is out, I'm going to bet this game, and I'm going to bet the Knicks.
All right. Thank you. You left it for me because I didn't want to really get involved there in that Phoenix game, So you left the Detroit on the table for me. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to hold my nose and take the Pistons against, like I said, an Indiana team that has way more talent, but just have no direction right now. Everybody wants out, and you see them kind of get selfish. And they were all pointing fingers during that run last night, right? Nobody wanted to take accountability. No one wanted to step up. And you let Drew Holiday and friends run over you, right? I mean, it's one thing if Giannis and Middleton do it to you. Okay, I'll give you credit. Even though they ran pure, they are the defending NBA champions, right? And Giannis, definitely a top 5 player in the league. But you let Drew Holiday and Connaughton, right, and Bobby Portis get loose on you. That says a lot to me about where you are as a team. So give me the Pistons team to show some fight and cover the plus 10.5. JSU, I know we got to finish up because you are about to do an NFL Showdown. Do you want to let everybody know about that?
Yeah, for sure. Me, Big T, Tambo, about to go on for the members over at Run Pure Sports and talk up this Thursday night football game, Chiefs and Chargers. So it should be a fun one. Love doing the show with them. Really good show. If you're not a member, and you want to become a member, you'll get access to it. So check it out. Right now we're running a promo code with our partners at SaberSim. Pretty much if you want the SaberSim optimizer and the premium content at Run Pure Sports, including playbooks, core plays from all of us, me, Big T, Hoop, AP, bunch of guys over here at Run Pure Sports for all sports, not just NBA, not just NFL, but we got, MMA covered in there. We got, NASCAR, PGA, every sport you can think of is covered under that one price umbrella. So whatever sports are going on, we got you covered for those sports. I mean, we got EuroLeague basketball in the Discord. So we've got everything. You name it, we got it. So that price is one price. And the promo with Sabre right now, if you use an Opto, is Sabre 15, and it gets you 15% off for life. If you want the Sabre Opto and the Run Pure Sports premium package, you can get all of that. Save 15% off your purchase each month for life, but you got to get in now. That offer is going to end tonight by the time NFL kicks off. So around 8:15, we're pulling that promo. This will be the last night for that promo, so get in now while it's still there.
Yeah, I'd encourage everyone to take advantage of that. And remember, this is the Run Pure Bets YouTube channel. There's also the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. I'd also encourage you to subscribe to both. If you are subscribed to the Run Pure Bets channel, you will get a notification in about an hour and a half as Tyler and I will be breaking down the NFL card from a sides and totals perspective. Then we will be back tomorrow with AP will be joining me. We'll do the same thing that JS, you and I did today. We'll be going through the games, the slate, maybe look at some fantasy options, and of course, give out best bets. And then Tyler and I will be back with the best NFL props of the week. And boy, Tyler's been absolutely crushing it. That's been one of the most profitable shows that we've been producing. So, hey, sometimes we're a little late. Tyler sleeps in, or I was remodeling my bathroom, right? Stuff was happening. So, just in case, always be subscribed. You'll get the notification when we go live. I want to thank you, everybody, for joining us. We the People says, who's guarding Sabonis? Actually, I don't have an answer for it. That's why I'm glad I'm getting 10 and not just like +2. And we will see tomorrow. But I want to thank everyone for joining. Lively chat today. Fun to see all of you guys here every day. It's been a lot of fun for me. And I really enjoy seeing all your comments as well. We the People who put that in the chat. He cleaned up yesterday in the chat. I like the Spurs. He liked the Hornets. And then we were on the same side as the Jazz, but he said they're going to win easily. And they did, because that was one of the few games that could not hold my attention. But we will be back tomorrow to talk more basketball at 3:30 Eastern with AP. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and Run Pure.